Hi, and welcome to the Blackwell Podcast, where we love Life is Strange more than pussies can't fucking fight. I'm here with Joey,
Hi.
and before we talk about this week's topic, we are going to make an announcement at the end of the video. It's not a big as big as the last announcement that we had, but it's still pretty big, though. Wouldn't you say, Joey?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff, I think. Anyway.
We'll make that announcement after Everyday Heroes. So, what are we going to be talking about this week?
This week we are talking about none other than our Nathan Joshua Prescott, who is mostly, you think, the antagonist through the entire game. You find out later that is not the case, but up until episode 4, really, you are led to believe that this is the guy that you're after.
Mm-hmm. And that he's behind a lot of stuff in Blackwell when he's not really, more of a puppet.
Right.
So, we should probably start off by where you first encounter Nathan, which is in the bathroom during episode 1, which is still a pretty big first impression if you think about it. Just waltzes into the girl's bathroom, talks to Chloe a bit, pulls out a gun and kills her.
Right. Yeah, so that's the first run-in that you have with him. You don't really know anything about this guy, other than he apparently has someone's money, or rather, I should say, Chloe is trying to blackmail him for money because of something that he did to her. You can kind of tell that this guy is pretty bad news. You hear him talking to himself, talking about how everybody just uses him, things like that. And then, yeah, the altercation with Chloe, and he shoots her.
Yeah, but luckily, Max, has the ability to rewind so she can save Chloe. Kind of helps progress in the game because when Max leaves the bathroom, after she pulls the fire alarm later on, after she saves Chloe, obviously, she rips the photo in the bathroom, which Nathan finds and actually confronts her about in the parking lot when she is going to give Warren the flash drive. Right.
So you have the vision, you rewind time, Jamie just said. You have the option to tell Wells when you leave in the bathroom after you pull the fire alarm of what just happened. You're also confronted by David. If you tell him about Nathan, I believe that triggers Nathan coming in and trashing your room. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is definitely the case.
So, and then if you choose to not tell Wells, you don't get that I guess, interaction.
But either way, you still get confronted at the parking lot.
Right. Yep. And that's where Warren tries to step in, and Nathan begins beating the crap out of Warren, and Chloe drives up. I believe. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that Chloe got Max out of there.
Right. That's the bulk of episode one's interaction with Nathan, and I believe.
Yeah, well, you do see like once more when it's like wrapping up the episode, where he's just out at the football field, working on his camera when it starts snowing and stuff.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that is pretty much all the interaction that you have with Nathan in episode 1. And even with episode 2, you don't really interact with that much at the beginning, just really quite at the end.
Right. So episode 2, you have the big choice with Nathan of whether or not to accuse him as being responsible for Kate's death. You also are Kate's suicide attempt or death, however it ends up being. Which, if you accuse him, he is suspended, and presumably goes to stay in the dark room. But that comes up later.
Well, it's really dependent on if you actually tell on him or not. If you don't, you actually get Max suspended, which is
Oh, really?
pretty of a weird decision, to be honest.
Huh.
Yeah,
I actually did not know that.
I mentioned this before and all that stuff. So basically, Max gets suspended whilst Nathan stays at school. It is a pretty bit of a weird one, but I chose to roll with it. Well, I didn't actually get that moment. It's just I just kept on blaming Nathan. Who pulled the fire alarm? Nathan did it.
So going back to, I guess, the cold hard facts that we have about Nathan. He was born August 29th, 1995, and was 18 at the time that the game was taking place. He was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He has several family members that are mentioned. The most notable ones are Sean, of course, his father, his sister Christine, which when you go to in episode 4, I believe it is, when you go into his dorm, it's where you can find the email, but it's jumping around a little bit. He also has a couple of other, just you don't really know. You just know that they're Prescotts. You don't really know what their relation to Nathan is.
Yeah. Harry and Martin, right?
Right. Yeah. Which you do know that Harry is the owner of the barn that the dark room is built into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then obviously with Nathan, he does have several relationships, which we will talk about later on. Just, which are somewhat mentioned for the next few episodes. I guess we can kind of touch on them as we're going through each part.
Right.
Because in episode 3, you actually pretty much see that Nathan actually accused Rachel Amber of drug dealing before she disappeared.
Right.
Which is honestly a bit weird, because from what Nathan said later on in the game, that he actually liked Rachel. So it seemed a bit out of character.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of curious that. Yeah. So he does mention at one point that Rachel was really the only one that understood him, the only one that really cared about him, and it's hinted at, which we mentioned briefly, I believe, in our Rachel episode, but it's hinted at they might have had a relationship of some sort, but that's not exactly confirmed. It might have just been a friendship. That one's a bit up in the air.
And with whilst you're actually checking out the files in Principal Wells' room, you actually come across a pretty disturbing drawing that Nathan did.
Right.
So, Rachel in the dark room just over and over again.
Right.
Which could pretty much be caused by post-traumatic stress disorder, because, well, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but, we did talk about it in the Rachel episode, that he accidentally gave Rachel an overdose.
Right.
In the dark room.
Right. To preface all that, we're going to be throwing out some possible mental illnesses that Nathan has. I mean, it is confirmed in the game that he does have some. We are by no means qualified to diagnose Nathan, nor are we trying to. Um, this is all just speculation and armchair psychology at best. But right, so you see his Rachel in the dark room just scribbled over and over and over. So obviously, what happened with Rachel was at the very least unintended by him, and he's definitely got something going on with that. He's got some issues.
He did seem like when you first seen him, and he did seem really on edge.
Right.
Like pretty much nobody trusted him, which he did say. Like it's like of people trying to control me and all that stuff.
Right. I wonder if Jefferson made him take the pictures of Rachel as punishment for messing up. I wonder if he was trying to do something to help Jefferson out and he messed up, and I just wonder if that was voluntary or not, which we've talked about in the episode 5 episode, but it's still it's not set in stone, I don't think, of Nathan's actual involvement with the death of Rachel. We know he was involved, but we don't know to what degree.
Yeah, I mean, because from what I remember, because I can't remember most of the images that were shown of Rachel in the dark room, and I remember one was Rachel looking really angry and stuff, and then there was another one where she was on the ground with Nathan.
Right.
Because if Rachel actually did overdose, I don't think Jefferson would really make Nathan take the pictures as punishment. I think it was just him.
Really?
Yeah, well, never really touched on who took the picture, so either one of us could be right.
Right. It's one of those things, I guess, we won't know until Rachel Amber DLC 2016. There's also the, I guess, the state of denial you could say that Nathan's in when Max is wearing Rachel's clothing and you see Nathan in the diner. He's very taken aback, and he first calls her Rachel. So yeah, he's definitely got some issues going on with whatever happened with Rachel. In episode 4, when you're doing the digging around to try and find who's responsible for the dark room, that's when you find, I guess, the most information about Nathan. Is during that entire sequence. Well, episode 4 really is where you find the most information about Nathan. That's when you find the email from his sister Christine, who is in Brazil, I believe.
Yeah, I can't confirm that at the moment, but she was somewhere, and she did seem like she wanted to help Nathan. Seems to get professional help, from what I recall.
Right. Yeah, and she tells him to he needs to stand up to Sean, and I believe it was Brazil, but either way, she was out of the country. She pretty much mentions in the email that she had to get away from all of Sean's crap, but still keeps correspondence with her brother Nathan. So Nathan is really kind of all alone.
Yeah.
Excuse me. just left to deal. His dad doesn't care anything about him, which that kind of explains why he, took up with David, why he took up with Jefferson. It's just because he really didn't have anyone around him. That's also, you find in the dark room, I believe in episode 4, that Nathan is taking diazepam, which is also known as Valium, which has several different uses. It can be used for seizures. Nothing about Nathan really led me to believe that he was epileptic or having seizures or anything like that. But again, I'm not a professional at all, so it also can be used for severe anxiety and to help control manic episodes associated with bipolar disorder.
Yeah. And you also find a lot of weird images in Nathan's room, like the dead animals.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you let Pompidou die in episode 3, there's a picture of Pompidou in episode 4 in his binder and whatnot.
Right. So he has a very morbid fascination with death, which leads credence to Chloe thinking that he's the one that killed Rachel. Yeah. And later on,
even with Chloe's previous experience with Nathan, because why they met up in the bathroom in the first place, because Nathan pretty much drugged Chloe.
Right.
Started taking pictures of her, which you do find evidence of in his room with the broken lamp and the actual photograph.
Right. You also find Nathan's burner phone in his dorm.
Mm-hmm.
You also find something interesting that he listens to whale noises, whale songs.
Yeah.
Which has led to the speculation that the whale is Nathan's spirit animal. But at the very least, Max, mentions that it's likely the only thing that can soothe him, or that's possibly why he listens to it.
It's pretty much when you find the phone, you leave the dorm room, but then you actually come across Nathan.
Right. He
pretty much gets confronted by Warren, who starts beating the crap out of him.
Right. And you actually didn't stop Warren, correct?
Yeah, I didn't. Because, honestly, because I've honestly led to believe that Nathan was responsible for pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I was like, yeah, I kind of think he deserves this and just let him do it, but obviously, with what we find out later on, I feel bad about it.
So if you choose that option, after Warren gets done, if you stick around a little bit, you hear Nathan kind of sobbing on the floor, talking about how everyone hates him. He kind of says something along the lines of, him not wanting to do what he does. So just kind of another little insight into what is going on in Nathan's head, that you only get, unfortunately, if you let Nathan get the crap beaten out of him. Mm-hmm. If you stop Warren, Nathan gets back up, grabs his gun, and he mentions that Chloe and Max will pay, that his father is coming soon, which that actually sparked a whole lot of drama. Well, not drama, but a whole lot of commotion in the community with theories of what was going to happen, theories of Sean being knowledgeable, if not responsible, even for the storm. which we can touch on that more later. And then, so he runs off to his dorm, and a little bit later, you get the text message: "Pussies can't fucking fight." I believe I haven't really been able to confirm the series of events that actually lead up to Nathan's jacket being in the dark room or not. It could either be from, a combination of having him suspended, having him not suspended. I'm not sure what the confirmed combination of actions was to see that.
Yeah, because I got him suspended and his jacket was there, so it probably might be that. But obviously, we can play the game again ourselves, choose differently, see what happens.
Right. So now, I believe that's it for episode 4 with Nathan.
From what I can recall, yes, because you don't pretty much come across him again.
Right.
Episode
episode 5 is the conclusion of the story, which is also where we find out that Jefferson was in fact responsible, and he kind of reveals how he was using Nathan all along. I want to take this time, and I don't hardly ever do this, mainly because I don't have the opportunity to, but I'm going to brag a little bit because I don't get the opportunity to feel smart in calling things.
Okay.
But I totally called it, saying that Sean was like entirely just a character foil to Nathan, was just setting up for Nathan to be manipulated by Jefferson and all that, and that Jefferson was in control of it, and I was right. So, go me, pat on the back me, moving on.
Yeah, I honestly had no clue to see how Nathan was involved with Jefferson. I mean, because the phone call with Jefferson, that Jefferson had in episode 2, was you go into the classroom. I honestly thought that was Nathan at first, until I seen him sitting at your desk.
Right.
So I was really confused by who that phone call is. Well, who was by?
Right.
I don't think it was ever touched on.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Possibly Wells, because at the end of episode 2, you see Jefferson, confronting Wells confronting Jefferson.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't touched on at all. So really the only thing that happens big with Nathan in episode 5, other than of course the reveal of how he was being manipulated, is the voicemail, which we in our episode 5 we actually talked about, but speaking a little bit more in depth now, I think that was kind of the pinnacle, the culmination of revealing Nathan's true character. He just could not help himself. I'm not excusing any of the actions by any means, but he was just in a state where he could not help himself, and it shows remorse on his part. But it's up to the individual player how they feel about Nathan as a whole.
Yeah, all aboard the Fields train. Boy. Yeah. Man, just hearing that voicemail, and after me blaming him for everything pretty much, until finding out in Jefferson, I felt bad. No. So I had to pause the game pretty much and just think about how much of an ass I was for blaming him.
Right. That brings up, one reason why I love this game so much is because it brings up the in a sense, you have to question, the people that you've dealt with in your life that, okay, I won't say that, are out drugging people and all that, but, think about like some of the altercations that you've had with people and just think about like what could be going on with them. Brings up that interesting dialogue with yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very, very kind of touching and heartbreaking moment for Nathan. And that's the last you hear from Nathan because Jefferson killed him.
Yeah.
The only way to save Nathan is if you sacrifice Chloe, where Nathan, of course, you go back to the picture, you go back to the bathroom, Nathan shoots Chloe, gets arrested, and
confesses
right,
about Rachel, about Mr. Jefferson, about everything pretty much.
right, and that's how Jefferson gets caught. Which, that could be what Nathan needed. Obviously, his parents, or his dad at least, didn't care anything about him. So, he's. Hopefully, if you chose that ending, you can choose to believe that Nathan is getting the help that he needs, and of course, getting the punishment that he deserves for, well, A, shooting Chloe, the big one there, and B, his involvement with Rachel.
And even with Kate as well, right?
Right, yeah, he was involved with Kate.
Yeah, how can we forget good old Kate?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was more so he just put the drugs in Kate's drink at the party, right? He spiked her drink.
I think so. Hey, that wasn't explained either.
Because I know she says, she started feeling very woozy at the party, very out of it, and then
she only had a glass of wine and some water.
Right. And then of course she felt the prick on her neck, which is Jefferson's doing because she's not dead, and also Jefferson mentions that he did it.
There was no mark there.
Right. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So he wasn't, which is one of the reasons why you can choose to blame Nathan for Kate's either suicide or suicide attempt, depending on how you play the ending, or I guess the climax of episode 2. But that brings us up to a good segue into just kind of the relationships with other students that Nathan had.
Yeah, I think probably the big one that I can think of off the top of my head is Victoria.
Right.
Because if you pretty much blame Nathan and like warn her of Nathan at the Vortex Club party, she dies.
Right.
Pretty much, which is a big no-no. I mean,
yeah.
No matter what Victoria did, I mean, just that is just wrong. Just, and you gotta feel bad about that as well.
Yeah, that's one of those like think you're doing the right thing and have it completely backfire.
Yeah.
Which happens a few times in this game.
Exactly. With Nathan, with Victoria, and a whole lot of others I can't really think of at the moment.
Even with Alyssa, if you don't put the board up and you just try to get her to come down to you, she says, no, every time you try to help me, something bad happens, and then she falls and dies. But anyway, so Victoria, yeah, is like the most prominent. If I believe it's the end of episode 2, you see him going into Victoria's room, kind of comforting her.
Yeah.
And of course they're together in Jefferson's class.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the Kate confronting Mark.
Yeah.
He also.
Yeah, just even with the picture that you find in Victoria's room of them just like hanging out.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Like their selfie.
Yeah.
So they're definitely friends, and it it makes me wonder too if Victoria was involved in drug use with Nathan.
It could be implied.
Yeah. We should do an episode on Victoria also.
Yeah, we should do that in the future.
Yeah.
We'll probably do episodes of every character. As time goes on.
Another big one that we touched on already is his involvement with Rachel. Again, not confirmed if they were an item, if it was kind of an unrequited thing on Nathan's part. What exactly their stance was. Were they just friends? Were they more? And then of course, he's friends with Hayden. He's friends with pretty much all the Vortex Club members.
Mm-hmm. Even in the alternate timeline, friends with Max.
Yeah. So, in the alternate timeline too, he seems a lot less like, I guess, just nervous. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's because he's maybe not involved with Mark in the alternate timeline.
I don't know, because do you remember the text messages that Nathan and Max were sending each other, that Max was in the darkroom at one point?
Right. I'm pretty sure that was just a normal darkroom, though. I don't think that was meant to be the dark room. Because I believe also in the alternate timeline, Max uses a like film camera, like an actual like film camera, and not instant, not a Polaroid camera. Because you see the text message from her mom in the alternate timeline talking about how she's spending too much money on her film. But yeah, so Nathan is friends with Max in the alternate timeline. He seems a lot more relaxed. He's of course still friends with Victoria.
Doesn't seem to be interacting with Chloe at all, so there's that.
Right. Oh, I think it's just implied. I don't think there was ever any confirmation, but it leads you to believe that Nathan might have actually been the one to paralyze Chloe.
I read that too, and I don't know. Kind of a big stretch, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But still, it is a cool thing to think about, though.
Right.
Either way, Nathan, in either timeline, Nathan did affect Chloe's life one way or the other.
Right.
Which is quite interesting to think about.
So I guess to touch on some of the evidence for that theory is just the picture. Chloe saying that she was hit by a truck, and then she kind of describes the truck, and it vaguely matches the description of Nathan's truck. Mm-hmm. So that's why there's the theory of that. I don't know if I wholly believe it, but I kind of do like the theory.
Yeah. It's a good one to think about, though. And I think the only person that we really need to talk about is... Have we talked about Sean yet?
Very little. A little bit.
We should probably touch on him for the last part.
Right.
And then move on to Everyday Heroes. So, Sean had been pretty much putting Nathan on a lot of pressure most of his life.
Right.
In order to maintain the Prescott name. All that stuff.
The sacred Prescott image.
Mm-hmm. I mean, which could cause some of Nathan's problems. before the Mark Jefferson darkroom fiasco and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's very evident that Sean doesn't care anything about Nathan's well-being, and the only thing that Sean cares about is Nathan carrying on the estate, essentially the lineage, and you can see that by when you're reading the emails about Nathan in Wells's office.
Mm-hmm.
He was dismissed from a class for disrupting it, to which an email was sent to Sean, and Sean responded that they were baseless accusations, and that if Blackwell wants to continue receiving its funding, essentially they need to stop accusing Nathan of these things.
Yeah.
Which is a good clue that Sean just cares about the image, just cares about trying to get Pan Estates built.
Even in the alternate timeline, Joyce actually worked there.
Yeah.
That's it. Totally forgot about until you mentioned Pan Estates.
Yeah.
And, yeah, pretty much mentioned that he did. He just cares about the image. Yeah. So pretty much with Sean not being a good father to Nathan is kind of like a rebound effect, I'd say, where Nathan looks to Jefferson as like a father figure,
right.
to which, Jefferson sees a good opportunity to use his funding and all that for his advantage.
Right. A little bit of mentorship on Jefferson's part, and then he's pretty much in the pockets of the Prescott family at that point. Another interesting thing is in the dark room you find a letter to Sean from Sean's psychiatrist, which that is a Twin Peaks reference, the name of his doctor, saying that he can't continue treating Nathan if Sean isn't going to be involved at all. So yeah, I mean, going back to, as I've said, Nathan had nobody, so he turned to Mark, and Mark used him for Nathan's money, pretty much, and influence over the school.
Yeah. I mean, that pretty much sums up Nathan, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Unless we are forgetting about other stuff which I can't think of.
If we forgot anything, let us know.
Yeah, in the comment section below or on social medias. I will happily mention it in future episodes if we do mention Nathan. So I think it's time to move on to Everyday Heroes, right?
It is.
Okay. So, in case you don't know by now, Everyday Heroes is a segment that we include fan art from the community that we tend to like or to which you submitted, and it can range from fan art, cosplay, you name it, we'll probably include it in future episodes. So Joey, who have you included this week, huh?
This week I have the work of Jess Reef. She did a drawing of Nathan and the voice actor for Nathan, Nick Schreiner. It's a photorealistic drawing of both Nathan and Nick. It's like the level of detail, the level of like, I don't know, it's mind blowing. You artists out there that like do the photorealistic stuff and like just put all this detail and all that. You guys blow my mind, and like that's why I love this segment a lot. Is just because I get to talk about the amazing art that you find folks do. So yeah, Jess's drawing has kind of Nathan juxtaposed behind Nick. And then there's actually the image of the bottle of pills from the game um, that you see in the dark room, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, even with the spray of orange in the background, just adds to it. Just makes it more real. Like, really like it.
right. I wonder what Diane would have to say, since she art history.
Yeah. I mean, even if I remember correctly, Jess actually did draw Diane at one point.
Really?
Yeah, and like drew Diane and like with Kate and all that. I
That's
mean,
awesome. Make sure you check out Jess's other stuff too. She'll be linked. Her Instagram will be linked in the description below, and of course on our website it will be linked to it. Fantastic work, Jess.
yeah, round of applause to you. And well, I've chosen a piece by Furious Spartan on Tumblr, and it's a drawing of pretty much what would Nathan be like during the voicemail when he's being hunted by Jefferson and all that, trying to hide, whatnot. I mean, it's a really powerful image
Yeah.
because you can see in his eyes, he's, he's just torn apart, and the amount of freaking emotion, just it's deep,
It is.
very deep.
When I saw this, I got chills. Excellent work. This is by Furious Spartan on Tumblr and DeviantArt under the same name, which of course check out their other work as well. It's all really great stuff. But yeah, this picture gave me chills when I saw it.
I mean, just looking at it, I can't. I'm just lost for words. Just give me feels, man.
Yeah, it really it
Sums up
hits
this piece.
right in the empathy gland with
Yeah.
with that. Oh, so excellent work, guys. Um, excellent work, folks. If you have fan art that you want us to see, you want us to check out, possibly be used on this segment, submit it to us. You can tweet it to us, you can email it to us. We also have a DeviantArt that you can message us on there.
Even Tumblr. We got a Tumblr.
Right, Tumblr, that we always forget about and we need to
Yeah.
use it.
we honestly just use it to contact artists to use their work on Everyday Heroes because we won't show the artwork unless you say so, pretty much.
Right. We never use artwork without the artist's permission.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should probably include the Tumblr too, so any of our Tumblr artists can message us if they have anything they want to submit to us.
Indeed.
But keep up the great work. This community is awesome. All the artists, all the cosplayers, all the modders, that do the digital artwork, the same thing that you kind of do, Jamie. Just the work with the in-game models and all that. You guys are awesome. You folks are doing great work, so keep it coming.
Yeah. Keeping the community alive with the art. Don't stop, please.
So that brings us, speaking of community, to our little announcement that we want to make.
Okay, so how should we word this? So pretty much, we have been finding it a little bit difficult Would you say that's right?
Yeah,
Difficult with
we're both.
episodes recently. So we are opening up the floor to anybody who wants to join us on the show as a co-host.
Right. So there's not really an audition process or anything like that. Essentially, just message us, let us know a little bit about yourself, let us know what makes this game so special to you. Um,
And just email it to us, really.
yeah,
Probably the best way to get us. And if we like you, we will announce it next episode.
sure. The only requirements that we should mention, the only requirements is that you have a Skype account,
Yep.
that you have a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can be available, generally speaking, every weekend or so. We're flexible, but we're trying to have a release schedule of once a week, barring holiday weekends and stuff like that coming up. But those are really the only requirements um, that we have. So yeah, if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah, and we really hope, to whoever we decide on being the co-host, that you enjoy it as much as we do.
Yeah. Um,
So that's pretty much.
so thanks again for.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for listening this week. And what are we going to talk about next week, Joe?
What do you want to talk about?
I'm feeling a little bit about just since we've been talking about Nathan, Rachel, we haven't really talked about any main characters yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
So we are going to be talking about Max. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, so next episode is going to be about Max. Oh boy,
All
it's going
about
to be a
that
long one.
Max. Yeah, there's a
Because
lot with her.
we won't be able to sum it up within the time slot, so it might be a bit long, but hopefully you guys don't mind.
So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
Yeah. Bye.